What's going on, everyone? Welcome into another episode of MTV The Challenge Rivals 3 Recap Show. I'm Zach Hummel, and I'm joined by Steve Beaulieu. What's going on, Steve?
Not too much. How you doing?
Pretty good. So we had a week hiatus from the show. We missed one of the episodes, and I thought it was one of the better episodes because we had 2 eliminations, which this season we're lucky to even get one in an episode. So for people that missed that episode, Corey and Ashley got eliminated by Nate and Christina, which may be one of a top 10 upset in challenge history. What do you think about that upset?
Yeah, that was ridiculous. We sort of been talking about it all season that we think Corey is a weak competitor. He's got the popcorn muscles, and to see him go out was just laughable. And yeah, huge upset. But I was kind of happy because I think that Corey is just sort of a weak competitor, and you can't lose in that situation the way he did.
Yeah, I think the elimination challenge, which is they pretty much just had to hang on to a bar while their teammate was pumping them around, so they were getting stretched out. And I think Nate's body type actually helped him in that because Corey, being the bigger guy, he couldn't hold on because his body weighed more, and Nate kind of just stretched out, like he said, and kind of went limp. And he won, and then Christina beat Ashley, which I guess that's not a huge surprise on this show since any girl can beat any girl anytime. But yeah, Corey and Ashley, one of the favorites to make the finals, got eliminated a little early. But Nate and Christina didn't last long. They got eliminated in the next elimination challenge by Wes and Nani, who Wes put on one of the greatest performances, I think, in elimination history, because that was not an easy challenge. Wes had to ram like a battering ram into windows and kind of break the windows, and Nate was really struggling with it. But Wes, he had the precision of a marksman. He was hitting it every time, and they blew out Nate and Christina, and Nate kind of quit, which kind of changed my attitude on him. You shouldn't quit even if you can't really do the challenge. Wes just kind of had an ungodly performance in that elimination.
Yeah, exactly. You could tell that right from the get-go, Nate just couldn't pick up the concept of how to get the momentum going there with the battering ram. On the other hand, Wes, he got it right away. Wes made it look so easy. So it was kind of fun to see that contrast of Wes making it look so easy and Nate just couldn't grasp the concept of it. But yeah, like you said, an all-time performance there from Wes. That's why he's a veteran.
Yeah, it's too bad, too, because I have a developing thought on Wes that I'll share later in the podcast, but he's really great at those strategy and kind of using your energy efficiently challenges, but he's not so great at the athletic challenges anymore, but we can dip into that later. We can talk about last night's episode, the last episode before the final where they go to Argentina. It started with that phone we've been talking about all season. Whenever someone answers a call from that phone, there's some drama. There's always a chance someone goes home, and this time it was Jenna at the phone. She's getting a call from her boyfriend, Zach, who, if you've watched any of the challenges, he's the big Thor-looking guy. He's an idiot. I don't really like his personality, but he's obviously one of the better athletes on the show. And I was surprised he didn't come on this season, especially with Jenna being his girlfriend. I thought they could spend some time together, but it looks like Zach's kind of out on the challenge. He didn't really like that Jenna went on. What do you think about that moment near the phone?
Yeah, that was interesting. Maybe like you said, because as they've been showing us as the weeks are progressing, he's distanced himself more and more from Jenna. So maybe that was his plan all along, that, he didn't want to come on the challenge to spend all this time with her. Maybe that was his master plan in the grand scheme of it, to use this as an opportunity to, sort of split up with her. I did think it was kind of weird how they threw that in there in this episode, that they went back a few weeks and started showing us these phone calls. Maybe there wasn't a lot of drama and they need to fill some time, but basically they went all the way back to week 1 and just showed us a succession of phone calls where, it's obvious that at this point Zach just wants to distance himself from her. It's never a good sign when, he's not answering the phone at all, and she was just blowing up the phone like crazy. There's that sequence there where she called him about 4 times one night, and at that point, if you're Jenna, you start picking up the hints that, maybe something's up with their relationship.
Yeah, it's sad too because Jenna's one of the hottest girls to ever come on the show, and for her to like beg to Zach, call him 3 times in one night, she should be having fun on her own. That's why you go on the challenges. That's kind of why I didn't like this season so far. You haven't really seen any drama like people cheating on their boyfriend or girlfriend or people hooking up. I mean, if Zach's going to be so distant, it would have been a great time for Jenna to really test the market and maybe I don't know what guy she would have gone for. Definitely not Vince because she despises him, but if that was the case earlier in the season, she could have moved on and, maybe tried to start a relationship with another guy in the show. But, we get some talk around the house. We have our old friend Devin. He was conspiring to prove himself. He was telling his partner Cheyenne that he was going to pull all the skulls out if they got into the elimination challenge because he wanted to twofold. He wanted to prove what he's got, obviously, because they lost in the first jungle of the season. And he wanted to knock Dario and Nicole out, who kind of stabbed his back 2 episodes ago when they threw them in, and not Bananas and Vince. So, Devin always trying to think of a new way to a new way to get to the jungle. I don't know if his strategy will work out for him. Later in the episode, we find out he doesn't go through with it because he thinks of his partner Cheyenne. But Devin is one of these characters who he's not even really on the show to win. He's just on the show for excitement, which this season's been kind of boring, and he's definitely added a little exciting element.
Yeah, that would have been an all-time power move had he gone through with that. Later on, Cheyenne sort of mentions that he wasn't looking out for the best interest of the game, and she sort of said that he wanted to make a TV moment. But, I mean, when he came up with the idea, I sort of got a smile on my face and said, if he can pull this off, this will obviously be one of the best moments of the season. It would have been great to see him do that. And as the weeks have gone along, it's just sort of every week and every episode that comes along, and I just like Devin more and more.
Yeah, that if he pulled all the skulls out, that would have gone up into the rafters of power moves in the challenge. Obviously up there you got CT using Bananas as a backpack. You got, I think, Abram last season. He put himself into the elimination challenge like 2 or 3 times just because he's a psychopath. And I think people have done that in the past, but Devin didn't follow through. I guess that's a good thing. He was looking out for his teammate, which you kind of have to do when you're on a team like that. If you're a free for all, he could have done whatever he wants, and he kind of says that later in the episode. But we get to the challenge, and it's a teamwork challenge, and it was definitely an important challenge. If Devin and Cheyenne won this one, or Wes and Nani, they could have thrown Vince and Johnny Bananas in versus Dario and Nicole, and they could have got rid of one of the better teams. But like always, even after a 30-second delay, Bananas and Sarah won the challenge. Devin and Cheyenne did finish second. I thought it was a pretty fun challenge to watch. They got put into this shirt, and they had to do a bunch of different tasks, like braiding a rope, and then they had to jump rope 30 times in a row, which was pretty funny to watch because Dario and Nicole can knock it on the same page, but then Wes and Nani, they went through it on their first try. They looked like they were back in fourth grade gym class, just ripping through it. What did you think of the challenge?
I agree that I like that challenge. Sarah and Bananas made it look way too easy, even with the delayed start. I knew that the other teams were going to be in trouble as soon as Sarah ran up to that rope, and she basically braided a rope with one hand, which was, a crazy performance to see. And just her and Bananas on the same page, working great as a team. And then some of the other teams just not coordinated at all. The jump rope, tripped a couple teams up there. And, Bananas and Sarah got the rhythm right away while other teams struggled with it. And it looked like it must have been pretty challenging there, sort of bundled up in one shirt, trying to coordinate jumping over that rope.
Yeah, as Cheyenne put it earlier in the challenge, it felt like they were in one giant condom, which Devin kind of was surprised she said that because it didn't really make any sense. I'm not sure if she spent much time around condoms, but it was definitely nothing like that. Yeah, definitely Sarah and Bananas, as you saw in this challenge, they are the best team by far in this season. And I'm kind of disappointed they didn't throw a better team in there from the beginning to kind of challenge them. Athletic-wise, intelligence-wise, veteran-wise, because Sarah and Bananas, they've run through the whole challenge and haven't even really had to go into the jungle. Yeah, I just like to see the good teams challenge. I don't like to see anyone moonwalk into the final, which they did. And obviously, they won the challenge and they threw in Devin and Cheyenne and Wes and Nani to go against Dario and Nicole, who, like I said, from the jump rope, they came in last because they just could not figure out how to get on the same page. Once again, Vince and Jenna skate by, and Vince, I'm starting to hate Vince more and more. You know, he's definitely riding on the coattails of Bananas, and Bananas even mentions it. He said, "My back hurts from carrying Vince." Vince was happy with a third place finish, which I guess is all right because you didn't get sent to the jungle, but it's nothing to hang your head on, especially with the amount of weak teams we've had in this season. What do you think about Vince, his attitude?
It's just so frustrating to watch him. Just you knew that he was going to skate by, and once again he does. Bananas hooks him up, and you know he gets to benefit from that. Just backing up for a second, like you mentioned about Bananas and Sarah. Once they got on the same page and Bananas let bygones be bygones, like that was the only sort of challenge they had to overcome. And once he put that aside and realized, hey, we can work as a team. There's a lot of money on the line here. It's going to be basically a cakewalk for them. And just like you, I'm disappointed they didn't throw in another heavy hitter to at least try to contend with them. But yeah, just going back to Vince, it's just so frustrating. We'll talk about it, I think, a little bit later on. But he just makes me so mad.
Yeah, I'm starting to hate Vince more and more, and it has nothing to do with that he's Bananas' cousin. He's just kind of a douchebag of a guy. And obviously, we get to the jungle, and Devin and Cheyenne once again skate by. Devin pulls a white skull when maybe some people thought he was going to pull the black one. Cheyenne even kind of thought it down to the stretch, but he pulls the white one, and I think that officially clinches Devin and Cheyenne as the luckiest team in challenge history. I mean, I don't know the number, but I think they've pulled 6 or 7 white skulls, which is amazing in this game. The chances of that happening have to be, maybe under 5% with the amount of times they've been thrown into the jungle. So we had a Wes and Nani versus Nicole and Dario jungle. And TJ tried to build the drama a little bit. He said this is the first time we've had bloodlines, face off in the jungle, which I don't know if that's true, but he's trying to build the drama because it's been sort of a boring season on his end, not too much drama. What did you think of this jungle elimination challenge?
I liked it. I thought it was sort of one of the first times this year that they've gone back to something, some of the basics there. It was at least physical in nature, and there was an opportunity for there to be some contact. And so it reminded me of a challenge that we might have seen like 2 or 3 seasons ago. So initially I liked the idea. Going ahead a little bit, I didn't like the way that Nani and Nicole played it, but I thought the idea of it was interesting.
I feel the same way. I feel the same way. Like, these people make it out like their cousins are literally like, they will never talk to them again if they, try to win the challenge. Like, my cousin would want me to win. Like, they would want me to go 110%. Nani and Nicole are passing each other, if you watch the episode, in these small little, almost like rat-like tunnels, and they did not even contact each other. They just walked right by each other, and they even gave each other pleasantries on the way by. And what really changed this jungle was Dario. Nicole and Nani were pretty even on the way they could get through the tunnel. But as Banana said, Nicole is built like a sewer rat, so this was a perfect challenge for her. Banana always dropping the one-liners. This is my developing thought. Wes is not the athlete he used to be. I'm not sure he ever was a great athlete. He was always obviously a great politicker. He would get his way in the house. He'd build alliances. He's a great communicator. He's a great, he know how to mastermind a plan. But Dario kicked his ass in this. It was kind of an army crawl kind of challenge, and this kind of has been a developing thought this whole season for me. I think Wes is washed up. I think he's done. I think if he comes on another one of these, he's going to have someone carry him to the finals like Bananas did for Vince. I just don't think he has the athleticism left. We saw him in the glass breaking challenge, and he was great because he just had to use his mind and a little bit of strength. But in the ones that is just pure brawn and will to win, Dario beat him, which was surprising turn of events.
Yeah, it looked like Wes has definitely lost a step or two. He looked he looked to be going slow, but on the other hand, Dario, I was surprised by how fast he was going. So it would have been interesting to see Dario go up against someone else to see just exactly how fast he was going because I was having a hard time telling is Dario killing it this much or is Wes just slowed down that much. So yeah, for him, it's the challenge has definitely become a mental game where he needs to build the alliances and just hope to stay out of those challenges because if he gets something that physical now, he's just going to get beat by someone younger and stronger than him.
Yeah, Wes is becoming washed up. I still think he'll come on just he's such a veteran, but I think it was an advantage to Nicole and Dario that they were smaller than Wes and Nani. I think Wes and Nani are both like Nani's pretty tall. I think she's like 5'11" almost, and Wes is probably 6'1", 6'2". Dario and Nicole are probably like 5'10". So I think it helped them having the low center of gravity because Nani's one of the taller girls, so she kind of had to bend down. Her back must have been killing her. That was actually one challenge I would not want to do. That looked really tiring by the end, and you could see it on Nicole was gasping for breath after she finished the first round. So it just shows how hard that challenge really was. Now Wes and Nani getting eliminated before the final. Bananas had to sort of sweat for a little bit, but now he doesn't have that Wes counterpart in the final, and I think I'm not sure what happens in this final challenge, but I would put $1,000,000 on Bananas and Sarah winning because the teams around them right now, they all have their weaknesses. While Bananas and Sarah have been in this situation before, and I would peg them to be the big time favorites to win this season.
I completely agree, and it's everything is coming up bananas at this point because even though Wes isn't good, great physically, he's still like a mastermind and can still plot. And he's a veteran of the game, so even if he was in the finals, there's always that opportunity that he could pull it off. Now Bananas has Vince to go up against, who just stinks. So he's obviously happy with that because he knows he can beat Vince. And then there's Devin and Cheyenne, who are the unknowns. So Bananas and Sarah basically, it's looking like it's going to be a cakewalk, which is it's kind of disappointing because I just don't see how they can. I don't see any way that they're going to end up losing this final.
Yeah. The episode ended kind of weird. They gave you 10 minutes of, all of them in the airport leaving for Argentina. They go into the sixth suite where they have, this layout of food. And Devin even says, he's like, we're living lavishly. And, Bananas does a cheers, which he always does. He does a toast. And then they go out on the town, which I thought was a little surprising in Argentina. I mean, in Mexico, you can find good areas, but I feel like in Argentina, anywhere you go, it's a little sketch. But they go to the bar, and this is where Vince, shows his douchebaggery. I don't even know if that's a word. He starts calling Cheyenne, random ass generic black names, which I'm not. I have a feeling when Vince drinks, he's a pretty racist guy. He just kind of makes himself out to be something like that. Everyone else is chilling, having a good time, and he's yelling in Cheyenne's face with his little fedora, and he's like ripping his shirt off, and he's cat calling her, and I just don't get this guy. I think he has a real issue. I don't know if when he drinks he's just a complete douchebag or he's like that all the time. That really proved his true colors in that sequence of events down there at the club in Argentina.
Exactly. He acts like such a bozo. It's almost like he's so immature. It's almost like he still thinks he's in high school or something like that, where he's gonna drink and get drunk and then start acting all crazy and just bullying people. Basically, he was bullying Cheyenne and making some racist comments. And yeah, it just shows when he drinks, more and more of his true colors come out. And I mean, just the one word I used to describe him is a bozo. He's just basically arrogant, and I couldn't stand to be around him.
Yeah, he's like the classic football player stereotype. He's an airhead who's just, big and ripped, but he's literally an idiot. And when he drinks, it's it's not a good thing for anyone, even himself. And, I kind of put it on Bananas a little bit too. If my cousin was acting that way and like saying all those things to this random, like innocent girl, I know you're inside the game and you're trying to get inside her head, like Vince said, but you're drinking, you're drunk, you have no idea what you're doing, game wise. And if I was Bananas, I would have told him, Vince, shut the fuck up, dude. Just relax. We're all in Argentina trying to have a good time, and you're talking shit to some random, girl that's in the final challenge. I just put it on a little bit on Bananas as well because he's the veteran. He probably knows all the producers. He knows Vince. Obviously, they're cousins, and I just would put it on Bananas to kind of tell Vince to shut the fuck up and take a chill pill for a little while.
Yeah, that's a good point because Vince is acting like he's untouchable because he's got Bananas there with him. He knows he skates by because of Bananas, and maybe that's why he acts like even more of a douche than he really is. But that's a great point that Bananas needs to step up and just tell him, don't act like this, man. Chill out. And he really hasn't kept him in check, so he's just been, free to act like an asshole the whole time.
I kind of hated how MTV, like, they had, I don't know if this was real or acting by Cheyenne because I think a lot of the drama on this show is contrived and they, play it up. But she was crying at her bed, and Sarah goes over to her and she's like, I was the only black girl at my white high school, and I was the only black girl on my all-white college, and I've always felt left out. It's like, save me the narrative, all right? I don't need – MTV always tries to throw in these, like, little storylines where they'll just be like, oh, if you know a racist, like at the end, contact blah, blah, blah number. I'm sure she has some issues, like all these people on the show, but I don't need MTV pandering to like a certain liberal base at the end of the episode. I just want to watch, the final challenge.
Yeah, the drama all the way around from start to finish seemed like it was forced in this episode with, making it seem like something bigger was going on with Jenna and Zach, and then there at the end with Cheyenne where, obviously she's frustrated with being not treated well by that bozo. But, like you said, it's just MTV sort of, forcing some drama in there that probably, it's sort of escalated more than it needed to. I'm sure with the alcohol and everything, she was a little bit more emotional than she should have been. But really, that blew up into something that it definitely shouldn't have.
Yeah, and that's kind of where the episode ends with her and Vince arguing, and she kind of says she meant it. She's like, do you want me to go home? Do you just want me to go home? I really hope Cheyenne doesn't go home before the finals because that would just be the stupidest thing in the history of the challenge, especially when you're there. You're pretty much in the money right now if you don't screw it up. So why don't we handicap the last four teams? We got Dario, Nicole, we got Devin, Cheyenne, Vince, and Jenna, and we have Johnny and Sarah. So what are your power rankings? Go top four on those four teams for the final challenge.
Number one has got to be Bananas and Sarah. Number two, I think I'm actually going to go with, as long as Cheyenne doesn't do something stupid, I'm going to go Devin and Cheyenne here because they sort of they've been working well together recently, and they performed well in that last challenge. Number three is going to be Dario and Nicole. And then fourth, I'm going to go with Vince and Jenna just because I think Vince is the worst. And I think that in this, the last challenge is always something ridiculously physical. So I can just picture him on the side of the road, like vomiting, dry heaving, all that stuff. I think he's going to put in a really poor performance.
Yeah, I would go with the same rings as you, but I would switch the middle too. I have Bananas and Sarah as the favorite. I would put them as like minus 1,000. They're so good. I think they should be the preemptive favorites. Two, I actually put Dario and Nicole too, just because that last performance by Dario actually proved something to me because it was a kind of endurance challenge, and I thought Dario, that would be his weakest part of his game, endurance, but he kind of proved something to me in that, that crawling challenge. Devin, Cheyenne third, just because I think they're better than Vince and Jenna, because Jenna's an emotional wreck right now, and Vince, we've seen him, perform terribly in these long, arduous challenges. So I think they finished last, but Devin, Cheyenne third, Dario and Nicole two, and Johnny and Sarah. You know, if they don't win, let's say this: if they don't win this final challenge, that would be one of the biggest upsets in challenge history because they should definitely win this going away.
Yeah, it'd be really ironic if somehow, some way, Dario ended up winning because all season long we've been saying, oh yeah, Dario's still in the show. So if he were to somehow come in first place, that would just be an unbelievable upset. Basically, anybody who can beat Sarah and Bananas is going to be a huge upset, and there's really nothing that they're bad at. They're good at puzzles. They're obviously good on the physical challenges. So it's going to take basically something catastrophic for them to lose here. So, I mean, hopefully there's a little bit of drama down the stretch, but yeah, huge favorites. I'd be willing to, put the mortgage that they're going to win this.
Yeah, so those four teams going to the final challenge. I'm sure they'll do maybe at over 2 episodes, or they'll do one final one that's 2 hours. They kind of mix it up. And the reunion for this season, I don't think it's going to be that good. I don't think there's been a ton of drama. So the final challenge is really all we got left. Yeah, so just look forward to that. And you kind of heard our picks. I think everyone that's watched the show the whole season would peg Sarah and Bananas to win too. So unless you got anything else, Steve, I'm good.
Yeah, that's all I got.
All right. Take it easy, Steve.
All right, see you.